I said it before, like, this is an insane lineup of people that we have here. I mean, there's no series that are going to be easy series. I cannot wait to see Dian take on Noein5. I'm extremely excited as well because we know how the Chinese community prepares for these tournaments, right? They prepare as a single team, as a single unit. They knowledge share, they scrim each other, they are a tight-knit group. So, you know, given the fact that Noein5 has been at the top of the Chinese community for a while, Dian is just kind of making his run now. These guys probably know each other well, and they probably play each other quite a bit. So I'm extremely excited to see what that series will have in store for us.
Absolutely, and you know, it's interesting to see you talk about, or to hear you talk about how they prepare together, because you also have two players between Dian and Noein5 that also, or from what we've seen of Dian being relatively new to the community, kind of handles things differently, plays a little bit of a different style. So it's interesting to see how they broke that down, if they did in fact prepare together, if they scrimmed together. You know, Dian bringing, again, some more of that kind of creative style, whereas Noein5 maybe taking things a little more of a classic manner. While we're talking about that, let's bring up the deck list. We've got Dian up first, obviously known for bringing some combo decks in the past, some one-turn kill kind of decks. What do we got here today?
You know what? I just have to say, like, you know, this is the third tournament that I cast Dian in, and he always brings something different, right? He feels like just a constant machine of innovation. Like he I don't know if he just gets bored playing the same deck more than like 3 times and then he goes in and changes it, but like something is happening so that he is churning out these deck lists again and again and again. And like you said, you know, even though these players do, you know, prepare together, there are significant differences here in the lists, and the only list that can be kind of considered as similar is the Jaguar list from both players. So but I mean, looking at this, you have the Britain list there. That is a full hand lock. You know, you got Black Watches, you got blockades, you got daylight bombing. There's just so much stuff, and it's commandos, right? It's commandos with a hand lock. And I, being the biggest commando fan in the world, I am just insanely excited to watch this deck perform. You know, if there's anyone I think that's gonna somehow make commandos work in a hyper competitive environment, it's probably Dian.
I know you'll be taking notes, Ali. I know your love of commandos, so I have no doubt you'll be taking some notes for the next time you hit ladder with your commandos deck.
I'm also really kind of impressed with the US Poland deck here. I really like that one, and I think, you know, things like unity is strength. Seeing that here, and possibly even combining that with you know, Red Devils blocking into the front line fairly early on. I think this is just a supremely interesting addition. We don't see Unity as strength a ton in these US mid-range decks, but of course with the Poland ally, you can generate a lot of infantry units. You also have 2 second California, right? If you can buff those significantly, they can take a while to get through. So I'm just extremely excited to see these slight differences on all these decks that kind of give us a window into Dian's insane mind to see how they play out in the battlefield.
Absolutely, and let's flip to the other side and check out Noein5's list. On a side note, actually, before we're done talking about Dian, I do appreciate how lists kind of get their name in the community. The cornflakes list, if you will, things like that. Love it. I love the added flavor and spice that they bring to some of these events. Just getting the feel of how much players like or don't like playing against them.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at Noein5's list here, and it's the Jaguar list that's kind of similar, but there's also some similarities in the USA Poland lists here. But where Noein5 really sticks out is, you know, he's bringing that Brit Air effectively. But he's bringing in 2 Sonias, and I think that's super interesting. It's also a lot more Brit heavy. This is a very, very different Brit Air deck that we've seen in a long time, so it's going to be an interesting one. But then I would say, like, just overall looking at the deck lists, Noein5 is going to be the aggressor in a lot of these matchups.
That's been the style that we've typically seen from Dian, where again looking a little bit, I don't even want to say control per se, but you know, the combo list, the things like that, where take a little bit more on the back foot, kind of establish your game plan and then move forward. And I feel like that's more that style. You know, talking about Noein5's Brit Air list, Spoos was saying this is kind of his go-to list. So that's kind of Noein5's specialty. You know, playing something a little bit more tweaked and Brit heavy. So we'll have to see how that plays out. If these players know each other well, maybe this is where Dian takes that opportunity to ban this list, knowing that it's kind of the direction that Noein5 likes to go or likes to rely on.
Yeah, I'm really happy we're seeing the P40 again. It's been a long time since I've seen the P40 in a tournament setting. And for like P40 basically just increases the operating cost of all units that are deployed while it's on the field. And if you can get that out on turn number 4, back in the day, that was one of the strongest turn 4 plays that you could do because of the impact that it had on your opponent's tempo, right? Now we're seeing that again in both US lists here, and I'm going to be interested to see how that plays out today as well.
So there we are, back again. Bubbles, what do you think? Dian versus Noein5. Who's having the advantage here? What are we going to see getting banned? Let me hear your
I
opinion.
think Dian might have the slight advantage just because of these combo decks, which are quite difficult to play against. I think this Germany-France burn deck could actually be quite scary in a lot of these matchups as well. But like Ollie said as well, I imagine these players practice together, especially since they are actually bringing somewhat similar decks. They're both bringing in USA Poland, even though they're two different styles, and they're both bringing in Fame Street Jaggro. So it wouldn't surprise me if they have practiced together and at least have a bit of experience against each other's decks. But I am leaning a little bit more towards Dian. What about you?
I'm actually not really sure. Both have very, very frightening decks in their lineup there, especially as you mentioned that German-France deck. I played a similar deck on stream this week. A little bit more greedy, like full burn. I also had Africa Regiment in it with the Chasing Shadows, like a little bit of the memeing also inside. But it did so well. The only really bad matchup is very, very aggressive decks. So I think if Dian just goes with banning the Faint Retreat, for example, and has a chance to keep that burn deck, he might have a good matchup in that one. So I think I go with Dian here. I think he's going to ban Noein's Brit Air deck, because as we said a lot of times, this might just be his perfect deck, the deck he's very good with, and you really have to get it out of the line, and then I think you're in an okay spot to win here. So I think I go with Dian.
It's the Brit Air deck is the deck he made a name for himself playing. Noein5 obviously being one of the strongest ladder players in the game. He's up there with people like J King and Vinny, where they are just absolutely crushing it on ladder a lot of the time. I think this Brit Air deck is, if I remember correct, the one he was well known for doing it with. But let's take a look at the deck bans. So both banning out Brits. Noein5's Brit Air deck being banned out by Dian, and then obviously Dian's Brit Japan sort of commando credit denial deck being banned out. Interesting that this deck is one of the ones Noein5 was targeting. I think this tells us that they have practiced and that Noein5 knows what to expect from this deck and knows that it's a threat. Because it's a somewhat unknown deck.
Yeah, probably also because a lot of his decks don't have that much answer against the commandos. And that credit denial deck can be so annoying to play against. I had one match against an opponent that just had the perfect cards. Like he could play, what was it? So on every turn from turn 3 on, he just had the perfect stuff to just cripple my credit slots, give himself some credit slot, and I couldn't do anything the whole game. So I think that's the reason why he got rid of that deck. And I'm pretty happy that we might see that German-France deck, because it can be so annoying to play against it, because if you don't have any healing, and Noein5 is not having any deck that is having any healing, maybe that US Poland deck can give you a little bit, but I'm also thinking not really. So that deck might shine in this lineup here, both players playing against each other.
Yeah, I think another thing to point out as well with this Dian's Brit Japan deck is the blockades are actually pretty scary for Noein5. You pointed out that he's not really got too many ways of dealing with this sort of stuff, and actually he's got a lot of units in all his decks, and this can be a huge tempo swing in very tempo-based matchups.
Blockade can be so annoying, absolutely. Especially because you can also target HQ and target units in your opponent's hand with it. That is really painful at some point. So
game 1,
Dian
we see Jagro coming out, and we see this USA-Poland sort of more aggressive mid-range version of it coming out.
Oh, also with... I did not even see the Unity is Strengths in this deck. Ooh la la.
So Noein5 having some guards, having the potential we can do it. However, Dian having a very, very aggressive hand here. Able to push up next turn, spawn in this beef wagon.
For me, it looks like a really bad hand, right?
It's very aggressive, though. If he finds a single infantry, this could be very, very powerful. And he's able to do 3 damage this turn. Oh, but the Red Devil's coming out from Noein. That could be a huge game changer, actually, because I was thinking if Dian finds himself like a 15th cav, he can do a lot of damage this turn.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, that Red Devils has to do a lot of work now.
However, we can now put down this Plan West, and then we can go for the Underground Estate. Noein5's hand looking pretty scary for Dian here. Dian needing like a Desperate Measures or a Bombing Raid to find his way out here. I mean, a Desperate Measures would be absolutely perfect for him.
I think it would also take a Bombing Raid here, but...
Whirlwind, not the worst card in the world. He is able to push up the Whirlpool as well. I'm surprised we didn't see him go for the Whirlpool trade, as that would have left him with more units on board, especially versus this US Poland deck where there's not going to be too much AoE. I mean, the only real AoE there is this backline AoE. There's not cards like Uprising in here. There's no real AoE to worry about. So I'm a little bit surprised in how he trades there.
He did also not move it to the front line. That is also interesting.
That is interesting.
What could be the reason for that?
I genuinely couldn't tell you. I don't know. Maybe he's concerned about the Howcats. I'm not too sure.
That was the cool thing about the World Championship, right? The interviews after the matches, so you could talk about several or certain situations. A bonus that we don't have here, unfortunately. But sometimes it would be so interesting to know why players are doing several decisions there. There's the Underground State, sending 35T back.
He sees the entire hand now, giving him a big advantage.
Ooh, we needed that way earlier, but still good.
Is still very good. I think if you Bombing Raid the HQ here, take out both these units and push up the Whirlwind.
And this is where it backfires, where he did not move it, right? That's 2 less damage now.
If he doesn't push it up this turn, he's up to something. I don't know what, but he's up to something. Okay, there you go. He moves it out of here. I think he's just trying to confuse us, you know?
Yeah. Maybe also Noein5 here. Not only us.
Now Noein has a few options. Can go for the Catalina, could go for the Cali, could go for the double ramp using the depth charges. Smokescreen is HQ, and that would set him up for the Cali next turn.
I would love him to see keeping the death charges for a later turn where the pressure is higher. But what is his play here now, right?
I don't think the Cali is the play, because you know it's going to get Sendide, but the Catalina has the same option as well. So I'm expecting we'll see him ramp because he's concerned about this Sendai. So he'll go for the double ramp, and that way he can carry, get insta value out of it, and then when it's Sendai, it's not as bad. But I understand what you mean about saving his depth charges, especially for cards like the Shiden.
Yeah. Not having any good answers against that one without any allegiance.
Dian's hand is just so slow. He's gotten 1 infantry for the entire game.
Yeah.
Very unfortunate.
Sitting there with the Sendai and the Shiden very early in the match. That's what you usually don't want to have.
There's a good chance we'll just see this Shiden dropped and just left on board. And good thing as well, because now the P40 drawn for Noein5. If he goes for the carry into trade, he's not in too good of a scenario.
Yeah, that shouldn't just... very often you don't need the blitz out of it. Just have it on board that it's 8 potential damage next turn for your opponent. And I don't see a way how Noein5 is getting rid of it, honestly. The Stars and Stripes is only dealing 1 damage. So he has to California and hope for something better to draw next turn. Oh my god.
No air defense in his deck either, which could be a potential if he was running it. Does have the we can do it. A Hellcat could potentially be useful, but Dian just smacking face. Getting 2 units into the front line. Noein5 now really on the back foot. Really needs a miracle here. And there's the Hellcat, but it's just not enough. We can do it, also not going to be enough. And that looks like Dian taking game 1 with the Jaguar deck. And even with a relatively slow start and a relatively strong start from Noein5, Dian just able to use this Sheeden really, really well. By not waiting for the blitz, like you say, and just deploying it, he really swung the game in his way. And I think that's something a lot of people forget, is you can just drop this just as a powerful unit. And Dian taking game 1 with the Jaguar deck.
Very fast one compared to the last match here. Jaguar against this strong US list, but yeah. Although, as you said, although Dian did not have a great start there, still managed to win. And is now left with the US and with the German deck. So what do you expect?
I feel like for Noein5, that wasn't the matchup he wanted. You don't have much healing for the burn. You do have a couple guards, but it's a very difficult matchup because of this burn.
Yeah.
I expect now we'll probably see Dian bring out this this burn deck. This Germany-France cornflakes burn.
Who made this name?
I believe it was Dynamo. Dynamo was the one that told me about it. I don't know if he came up with it, but Dynamo is the one that told me. I think it was Sinlike. You remember Sinlike?
Sinlike, yeah. I know.
Yeah, I believe it was Sinlike that originally came up with the title.
So I think at some point we just have the whole supermarket collected there with the chocolate boys and the cornflake stack, and
we can have a shopping trip tournament where you can
we could partnership with the supermarket, and then we could just make all the guys hungry and they just go to the supermarket and buy food. Okay, next match here. Dian, Germany versus Germany. We have that burn deck now. I'm pretty excited to see how his variant goes off here. And then we have USA Germany. Fast Heinz without Fast Heinz.
Oh no, sorry, yeah, it's Fast Heinz with no Heinz.
With dive bombing in it. Interesting.
Yes. Dive bombing has been playing a lot of these. I know Kobasnik and John PX, when they brought this to the OCC, both had dive bombing in it. And I know I've seen people running this on ladder with the dive bombing as well.
Dian not with the greatest starting hand here. Really want to have a rice bank in your starting hand with this deck. Found the Enigma, that is good. Heinkel Schmeinkel in the house, as long as the Whirlwind is not in the front line.
And it will save him a bit of damage as well, because if Noein5 goes for the trade onto this Heinkel, it means he saves himself essentially 2 face damage with it.
And that root out can be huge here at some point.
I imagine we'll see a root out come out next turn, because he does have the backup one as well.
Yeah, but that Panther 3F might just destroy all these plans.
It's still very effective though, because it reduces the attack, right?
Yeah, by 1. Still have 2 and 3 attack then. But yeah, I agree.
Going face, I like that. I like his confidence in just hitting face.
Yeah, he has to be fast. Once Dian finds their rice bank, it can be that can just put out 15, 14, 20 damage in one turn.
It also says if you want to play your root out, do it. Go for it. Root out, kill your own unit.
Yeah, that's also an argument to go face here. Absolutely.
And when this Whirlwind pushes the front line, it can hit for 5 damage. It can hit real hard. I'm curious if we'll see this retaliation come out again. We may see him retaliation and then try and find some more burn. However, Noein5 looking like he's going to be quick enough, and this is one of the difficulties with this deck, with this burn deck. When your opponent is able to play very, very quickly, you can just feel like you're left behind. Takes out the Greyhound.
I think at this point, all that Dian needs is the Rice Bank as soon as possible. Otherwise, they might be in trouble here. Although Noein's hand is not looking that fast here. A lot of high operation cost units. Only that Whirlwind is having one.
And there you go. Whirlwinds for 5. Dian down to 10.
I'm pretty sure they're looking for the Rice Bank now with the Spoils of War.
I think you have to play one of your root outs.
Oh no, you're dead if you do this. Yeah. Like, the Whirlwind is 5 damage, and one of these Panzer 3 is another 5 damage.
Finds a defend in depth, puts up retaliation.
Why that? Why not defend in death the Whirlwind? Yeah.
It won't kill the Whirlwind. It will only do 3 damage.
Oh yeah. I'm always not checking opponent's hand size.
Yeah, I'm always like, defend in depth, that just kills the unit, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wait a minute, why did that only
defend
do
in your head,
no,
right?
he did it as well! Dian did it as well! Dian, he has hand size!
I'm pretty sure he did it on purpose, because there was no other option.
He
could not do anything there.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's funny because we're talking. No, wait, yeah, he could. If he killed the 4-3 in the back line, he would have survived on 1 health.
No, not really. There was the engineers on the board.
Yeah. There was a 3-3 tank and a 4-3
yeah, you should have killed the 4 attack unit.
Yeah.
Oh, you're absolutely correct. So then I'm pretty sure he also felt for that mind pattern there for like defend and death is killing a unit. No, it is not. It is just absolutely not.
Removes it from the game, right?
So that's what I mentioned earlier, that German France deck is really, really weak against aggressive decks, and no, not really with the most aggressive start ever here, but could still manage to win.
I mean, I think really Dian wants to match it up against Noein5's USA deck. I think the Jaguar matchup is also quite scary, so there's going to be a little bit of mind games about what to bring in this one. I think we'll see Noein5 bring Jaguar, and I'm really not sure what Dian's going to bring.
He should bring not his German France deck.
I agree.
But the question is, what deck is the opponent bringing? That's the big question here. I see Japan card back.
Yeah, Japan for Noein5.
Ooh, Dian sticks with this
and
deck.
He sticks with the burn.
Ooh, but way better hand now. He has Enigma. He has the Rice Bank. He has double Careless Talk. That is, I think, against Jago, the perfect starting hand. Found the Cross of Lorraine. That might not be that great against Jago, because they usually don't have that huge of a hand size. But the Careless Talk helps a lot. Whoa, did he just... He just found all Type 93s. 3 in the deck, 3 in the hand. Insane. There's a from the... Wow, that is so good. I mean, the Enigma is probably not that great in that matchup against Jaguar. So Noein5 would be smart here if he would just play 2 units.
Yeah, goes for the Type 93s. Instead of going for the Whirlwind. Very smart player on the countermeasure.
And the problem with the Rice Bank here, you probably want to play it when you have Phony War. Just passed, yeah. Makes complete sense. Because you don't get that much draw out of it.
I mean, you say Cross of Lorraine won't be too good against Jaguar, but if you Phony Wars, it's still very value.
There's a Liberation. Ooh, Liberation Cross of Lorraine, also not bad.
Or Liberation Enigma.
Sure.
Give them the...
And he's exactly having 10 credits next turn. So Noein5 it would be better to play the 2 smaller units here over 1 Milo regiment.
However, this Type 94 does leave a card in your hand. So it
Yeah.
means that Dian is going to be healing a little bit more and drawing a little bit more. I'd love to see, Liberation into the Enigma. He's going to heal himself for, I believe, is that 9? 8, sorry.
8, almost.
And then fills up his hand. 2 Phony Wars, 2 Reichsbanks.
Yeah, I mean, that is really what you want to have with this deck. So next turn, you can just play Reichsbank again.
He's also got the 0K Cross of Lorraine. It would essentially air blitz for free.
Can go Cross of Lorraine, Reichsbank next turn, Cross of Lorraine, drop the Arados.
I'm
Next turn.
concerned though. Look at this damage coming out from Noein5. It's a lot of damage.
But also just go double Reichsbank, right? I think I would love to see that one.
Double Reichsbank. I don't hate it. I mean, it's brave, but you've got to be brave.
Still have a lot, some time here.
The third Reichsbank.
So not really forced to kill Noein5 here next turn.
I mean, I think he was very much looking for a route out with that Arado. Desperate Measures comes out, doing a whole bunch of damage.
So Dian really needs a route out now.
Yeah, I imagine there's a good chance he goes looking for it.
Another Cross of Lorraine, not really that great.
I mean, he can play
Reichsbank first.
He can play 2 Reichsbanks and a goes for the Phony War. Okay, finds
There's a route out. There's a route out.
However,
yeah, unfortunately,
Noein5 finds the 35T. Is able to blitz out a lot of damage, and this is what we were talking about before. These very aggressive decks are very good against this Germany burn deck. However, he's now able to get the nice matchup against USA mid-range after this match. And he can potentially swing it through some miracle work. You know, you've got 6 damage with these Cross of Lorraines. If you can find some real nice burn, because you do have a lot of credits next turn, there is the potential to sort of swing it. Maybe using this retaliation to do that last little bit of damage. But it's going to be really, really difficult.
So if Dian can manage to find another route out here.
I don't think you even bother. I think you have to go for the win.
But how? There's never enough damage output. Honestly,
but the Cross of Lorraine's on face.
So it might be that he's having... That Dian is having a really bad draw here, or his deck is not that great as I thought it would be.
True, 2 Cross of Lorraines, but this 35T from Noein5 is going to be the real issue card. He had to put down the Catastolk to snipe the 35T.
And that's it.
Which means that's it. Noein5 able to blitz out. Puts the series up to 2-1, but Dian is now able to get the value matchup with this deck. And I know this deck isn't performing so far, but I think that's okay. I think Noein5 has managed to snipe the matchups. I would have liked to see Dian try this USA deck. However, Dian's USA deck is relatively slow as well. So I feel like these quick decks from Noein5 were always going to be an issue. And his weak point in this matchup may be his USA mid-range deck. So Dian really needs to exploit Noein5's USA mid-range deck as much as he possibly can.
And that deck is only running We Can Do It as heal option, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so it will be rather difficult to survive. He needs to play very quickly. And Noein5 sticking to his Dian here sticking to his guns.
Do we see the next autocannon lose 3 times in a row match here?
I admire his commitment. You know, I admire his commitment.
Absolutely insane. If you have an idea and you want to do it, just try and try.
I mean, in the words of Dian, he said it himself. He plays for fun, and what is more fun than testing your deck out in an OCC?
Or like here in the Cards Open, absolutely.
Yeah, sorry, I've got a deck idea. I'll try it out in a cash money tournament.
And this time the Enigma might get way more value, especially with all these 32nd in Noein's hand that just replace themselves.
Yeah.
Interesting that he prefers to go to the front line with this over the 32nd.
And this unit is safe from the Heinkel.
Sure. And Dian probably not attacking twice or thrice into that one.
I appreciate though that Dian went face here instead of going for the trade.
Picked up the phony war.
Your burn and your HQ damage is more important than trading into Noein5's unit. So just tickling face with the bomber is far more important here.
Yeah, and all these guards and legions in general are absolutely useless against Dian's deck here. It just hits face, ignoring the board completely besides this root out. And what can Noein do here? Can just be very fast. Manage his hand size so he's not sitting there on 9 or 8 cards. But Phony War might play against that.
We might see an Enigma come out just to cycle through a couple cards because you've got 2 of them and a Phony War.
Yeah, nothing else to do here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no Rice Bank. Like, I had that feeling when I played that match, you always need Rice Bank. If you don't have it, it's very bad. Rice Bank, Phony War, Enigma, that's your key cards. It looks like he...
I bet finds the Bismarck.
I'm pretty excited what the other options were at this point. If he chooses to pick a Bismarck there.
Noein5 able to put Unity on a Red Devils could be really, really scary.
Ooh, absolutely.
Gonna go for thinking of the underground at least, but I think I prefer putting down the infantry and buffing it. Even if you want to kill the Heinkel, at least go for the trade. The only issue is you do set yourself up to get countermeasures. And he can trade into this Heinkel if he wants to. I don't think it would be a terrible move, especially when Dian has been using it this much. And I just realized Dian didn't go face last time of it. He did trade into the Chocolate Boys in the front line, which I think is sensible when they're in the front line.
Yeah.
Dian, do you have a route out?
I like that because now he can also... That's a lot of pressure already again.
Yeah.
So Dian knows that there is a Unity strength in the deck. Oh, there's the Rice Bank. Unfortunately, not enough credits.
I really like the second California with this Unity of strength. If you get a really big California, it can be really, really difficult for your opponent to deal with it. Just trying to decide what card to buff. I think the Red Devils are the safe option. The only downside to buffing Red Devils, and I imagine this is what he's thinking about, is you technically get 1 less damage because the Legions hit for 2 on their own. But you do risk then having your hand filled up and then getting hit by a some sort of criminal.
There comes the Rice Bank. I'm not sure. It might be just too late again.
However, he has Bismarck and the Kriegsmarine.
Yeah, but only 12 credits next turn.
Look at these units.
And that's it.
And that's it. Noein5.
Too slow again. Oh, unfortunate. Did not really pop off.
To 3-1 against Dian, so we have Noein5 advancing to the finals to play against Darkness. And then we have Dian and Vinny for the 3rd place match. And I gotta give some credit to Dian still. You know, he commits to his guns, he sticks to them, and he he knows what he's here to do. He's here to try out his fun decks, and he's either going to win or he's going to flop. He doesn't care. He's just here to try out his fun decks. I think that deserves some credit in itself.
That could not have been more of a polar opposite than the first series we saw. That was fast, that was furious, players going back and forth. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, Dian's list maybe a little bit slower, and Noein5 kind of taking advantage of that, putting on the pressure and winning the series 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, I think a case can be made, and it would probably be a fairly compelling case that Noein5 is probably the worst matchup for Dian, just in general. Noein5 is this kind of aggressive player. I think I've never seen him kind of lean into the control side too heavily or anything like that. He really wants to bring the heat. So yeah, Noein5, you know, bringing the heat. Dian just being a little bit too slow with his decks today, not finding the draws that he needed when he needed them. I mean, I'm sure that like there is a world in which Dian can win this series like 3-0 if he gets the perfect draws, but that just didn't happen today. I think that's one of the strengths that Dian is showing, is like he's bringing these decks that maybe are a little bit hit and miss, but he's able to pilot them effectively and make them hit more often than they miss. And then he always has this chance, no matter who he's playing against, no matter what the matchup, if he gets the correct draws, the correct order, he can win anyone, right? So that's kind of emerging, you know, looking at Dian's success, that's kind of emerging as a tournament strategy within Cards that I think we haven't seen a lot of people kind of jump on. So I'm pretty excited to see how that develops in the future, if we're going to see more players kind of adopting this type of play style, this constant innovation, this constant just bringing kind of risky decks, but managing to pilot them so effectively that they turn into consistent decks, you know.